Okay, good morning. Welcome to
AwesomeMath number 132a.
AwesomeMath number 132a. So today we are talking a little bit more about square roots, and especially ones that are not integers.
Yeah.
And we did a little bit of figuring out what the square root of 2 was.
Yeah.
And then in part B, we're going to do the continued fraction for the square root of 2. And remember our continued fraction, Mr. Waterman's continued fraction idea?
Split, flip, and wrap.
Split, flip, and wrap. And then hopefully that's going to help us approximate the square root of 2.
Yeah.
But first, square root of 2, we pondered about it. And what were some very simple things we could say about the square root of 2?
Well, we could say it would be, maybe it's less than 2.
Less than 2.
And, well, 1 times 1 is 1, so it's going to be greater than 1.
And it's greater than 1.
So this is what we can say.
This is the first thing we're able to say. It's between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I gave you an important warning about inequalities when you square.
They're not always.
You have to be very careful with inequalities when you square them. But when all the numbers are positive, like we have here, you can go ahead and do that. The reason that 1 is less than the square root of 2 is what?
Well, 1 times 1 is 1, and we're looking for a number that will square to be 2.
Okay, good. 1 squared is 1, which is less than 2. Why is 2 bigger than the square root of 2?
Well, because we're looking, this is the number we're trying to square to find.
Okay.
So we're not going to be able to square 2 to get 2.
Why not?
Because 2 squared is 4.
Because 2 squared is 4. Sometimes it is true, by the way, that numbers, when you square them, you get the same number.
Yeah.
I can think of 2 numbers.
1, 0.
Okay, 1 squared is 1.
And then,
0 squared is 0.
yeah.
So sometimes the numbers are equal, so you do have to be careful about that too. But we know 2 squared.
Yeah.
It's
4.
which is less than, which is bigger than
2.
2. So we squeezed square root of 2 in between 1 and 2. But then we tried to get a little bit better approximations, because these are pretty far away.
Yeah.
Okay? And what were we able to figure out?
It's between 1.5 and 1.4.
Because 1.4 squared was what?
It's 1.96.
And 1.5 squared was?
Was it 2.25?
2.25. Oops, 2.25. So we squeezed in between 1.4 and 1.5. And if I was going to ask you to take a guess, which one of these do you think it's closer to? 1.4 or 1.5?
Well, it's 1.4. Yeah.
You think it's closer to 1.4?
Because it's 1.4 squared is 1.96.
Yeah, really close.
Yeah.
In fact, if we had a calculator, we could start checking other numbers, and we would find that 1.41 is less than the square root of 2, which is less than 1.42.
We can keep squeezing.
We can keep squeezing with a calculator. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. But that'd be kind of long process. Continued fractions will allow us not to get decimals immediately, but allow us to get fractions, which are really good approximations. This, do you remember what 1.4 was as a fraction?
1.4, it's 14 tenths.
Yeah.
So it's 7/5.
7/5.
And I think 1.5 is 3 halves.
So we already had 2 fraction approximations. So we're going to do continued fractions to try to get an even better fraction approximations. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.